Hello and welcome to a special episode of Our Own Devices with Nandgopal Rajan. We are going to break our regular publishing cycle and push in a special episode, given the kind of attention this topic is getting. And that is Twitter. Your Twitter timeline is full of Twitter and Elon Musk and nothing else. You really have to fish your way and find other stuff happening on a Twitter timeline. And we have one of the best people to talk about the topic, and that is Manish Maheshwari, who was once the head of Twitter in India. Manish, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nandgopal. My pleasure to be on the show.
So I'll ask you the very, the pressing question that everybody has on their minds, right now. Is Twitter going to die? What is your outlook for Twitter? And is the worst over, or we are just waiting for it to get worse?
See, until 2 days back, I was very hopeful that, despite all the difficulties and Twitter will bounce back, and I think Elon will figure things out, and things will get back to normal. I think the events that happened yesterday also shook my confidence. I think what happened yesterday was Elon sent a mail out to people saying either they have to commit to a hardcore work culture or their resignation is accepted. And I think a lot of people chose to resign. Now, that is a very serious problem right now. At the same time, it is creating so much confusion and chaos on the platform. So many of the celebrities are also looking out, and they are mentioning their Instagram handle on Twitter, saying, "Hey, I'm also on Instagram. If you can follow me there." So all that leads to a negative network effect and can lead to exponential delay. So that does create problem for Twitter. Now, my view here is that Twitter is such a big brand name and such a large user base. Even if it were to die, it will not die instantly. You would start seeing this decay happening and people fleeing the platform, and over time things will happen. My hope here is that Elon will figure things out, realize the problems, and maybe put together a team that will sort of bring some stability and order here, and then maybe they will recover. If he fails to do so, then clearly, I mean, it's going to be a downhill, you know I would say, road from here.
So he's also put in a lot of money into buying Twitter, and what he's doing now doesn't, seem to make a lot of financial sense at least. And this is not how people act after takeover. So is there something else going on here that we don't really know about?
Yeah, even I'm quite surprised that, I mean, if you put in so much of money and so much of personal wealth is locked into this, why would you act in an irrational fashion? But here it seems to me that he has a bigger purpose or thinking behind acquiring Twitter. It is not purely commercial, because if it was commercial, he would probably have acted in the interest of advertisers and revenues and stability of the team. The sense I am beginning to get is that he wants to probably further his personal agenda. He wants to be more popular. He wants to support a certain ideology and views, and that could be one of the reason why he may have done this. Now, even then, I'm quite surprised as to the way he is behaving. So that could then be like, okay, is that hubris? That's basically that he feels like he's too big to fail, or too smart to fail. But I think his actions are not sort of falling into place in terms of a logical or rational analysis right now, even for me. And we'll have to wait and watch how this one unfolds. But clearly, it is really exciting to watch this from the outside. At the same time, my heart goes out to my former colleagues and people who work there, because it's really tough time for them. So happy to be of help to anyone there. But at the same time, I'm watching here from the outside, and quite sad to see how things are unfolding.
Is it also politics? Because like today, for instance, he's tweeted, he had a poll asking whether Trump should be reinstated. So things like this, it also suggests that there is, as you said, a larger agenda at play. And could that be political? And how do you see, Twitter in such a situation?
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing about this Trump thing is he has been saying that, no one should be banned. I think there is freedom of speech, but there's no freedom of reach. So while everyone can say what they want to say, we may not boost their post, or we may not, make that post popular. That he has been saying. So I'm not surprised by his tweet today about Trump. But larger point is, yes, I mean, he has been very vocal about his own political inclination, that he is right wing and he is more Republican. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem right now is that his personal view and the platform's view are now converging, because now he's the only owner, right? So the question then becomes, okay, is platform neutral, or platform is also Republican, right? And that's a question to ask. That's one. Secondly, I'm also now thinking that okay, he's already over 50. He has had good run with his commercial successes at SpaceX, Tesla. He has no dearth of money. So what's next for him, right? And once you become the wealthiest person, probably you want to become the most powerful person politically as well. So that could be the next on his list of things. Um,
Musk for
yeah, I
president.
mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just guessing here because what do you do next when you have so much commercial success, right? I mean, what do you do after that? And that's an interesting question. I think only people like Elon have at this stage in their life, and I think he's already over 50 now. So I think for with Twitter, I don't feel now that it's only commercial, it's only business. It's something beyond that. It's about proving a point. It's about upholding an ideology. It's about what he will do next in his life and career.
Is there something that we are missing? Is there something that you would have learned in some business school out there that, like, there is, which gives a little bit of a method to this madness?
See, I mean, I looked at his business plan earlier that he presented to his investors. I had a copy of that and I looked at it. I think it was very clear on three things, right? On the user side, number one, on the user side, he wants to remove fake accounts, bots, and focus on verified human users, and that he believes would improve the quality of conversation, reduce all the hateful conduct, etc. So that was on that. On and he wanted users to pay for it, right? That's what his plan was. On the revenues or the business side, he wanted to diversify beyond advertising to start subscription business, and his view was that today Twitter is 90% dependent on advertisers for revenues. Why it needs to be more balanced, so we need to have people pay for the service, and that's why I think he talked about all the Twitter Blue subscription service, and he wanted that share of that revenues to go up to 50%. So that is on the business or revenue side. And on the content side, his plan was that we will need to make it possible for creators to monetize their craft on the platform, enable them to make money through Twitter, and Twitter should be able to help them monetize and do a revenue share with them. Now, to be correct here, Twitter did try doing that with initiatives like Tip Jar and Ticketed Spaces, where creators could create exclusive content and have people pay for it, and Twitter would collect it on their behalf and do a revenue share. But it did not reach the kind of scale needed to make it monetarily or business wise consequential. So now I think Elon has come. He said, at least in his plan, was that he would make creator monetization a priority. So if you look at it, it was a three-pronged strategy: quality users, real conversations, paying users, uh, revenues beyond advertising from subscription as well as content monetization. And on the creator side, quality content by giving creators a chance to monetize better on the platform. This seems logical to me, right? And there could have been a thoughtful way of going about making these changes, but not like the way he has done in the last 3 weeks. Like, I mean, first of all, firing 50% of the global headcount and 80% in India, and then now sort of really treating people with disrespect and really not giving their fair share in terms of what they have done, and sort of just assuming that all the people had been lazy and all the people had not been working very hard, and sort of that is what he has been implying. So I think most people at this point would feel like, okay, I mean, money is good, but I think my dignity is even better. So I think I would go with dignity and leave the company. That's the sense I'm getting now. And all of them are announcing their departure on Twitter itself, ironically saying, it has been great to work here, but I'm sort of off now. So that's where things are, and I think we are in a state of great turmoil. This announcement came out 18th November, and all the offices are closed now until 21st, because of course they don't want anyone to come to the office and create a ruckus and sort of create any kind of problem, given the tempers are very high right now among the employees. And I think many of them felt like, after putting their heart and soul into this company, you know they have been asked to leave so unceremoniously.
Also, a lot of the things that he wants to do and he's already doing, sort of goes against the grain of how this platform has been set up over the past many years, right? And what the audience or the users expect from the platform, what people know this platform does. A lot of this is now changing. So how do you think that is, like, the core of the product itself is changing? So how do you think that is going to impact Twitter in the long run?
Yeah, I mean, Twitter will not be the way it was. That's for sure, right? Both in terms of employee culture org, but also in terms of product. Also, a lot of changes may happen, right? I mean, we saw a glimpse of that with the $8 verification, which actually then was paused, and I think Elon is saying that he will restart this on 29th November. Now, Come to think of it, right? Twitter is a two-sided platform. On one side, you have content creators, eminent personalities who choose to share information, opinion, news, and updates about themselves. And they were given this verification blue tick to notify or to denote that these people are eminent, they are notable, they are authentic, and they are creating content to engage people. And on the other side of the two-sided network are the content consumers, people like ordinary people who log into Twitter to check out what's happening, to check out the news, to check out what their important people or the people they follow and love, what are they up to next. Like, I mean, if you are a Bollywood fan, you would have Priyanka Chopra there. If you're a cricket fan, you would have, say, Virat Kohli there and things like that, right? So Twitter as a platform brings the two sides together, the content creator and the consumer, and gets a network effect going. And this flywheel gets better and better, and the effect becomes stronger and stronger as more creators come to the platform, attracting more consumers. And as more consumers are there, it in turn attracts more creators to create content for this platform. Now, if you equalize everything and give everyone a blue tick and treat everyone as equal, then you have to think about what is the incentive for a content creator to be on this platform and what is the special they are getting versus, say, going on TikTok or versus going on, say, Instagram or now, say, Mastodon or, say, in India, going to Coup, right? Similarly, on the other side, you also have a problem because now the followers do not know are they who they are following, because are they really following the right or the authentic person? And then how do they then show their love and followership, because everyone's the same now? So it leads to a certain confusion in the system. Now, if you go down this path, you convert this platform into any kind of a user messaging system where everyone is the same. It's like there are plenty of messaging systems, like from Line to Telegram to Signal to WhatsApp to any kind of public messaging system where everyone is the same. Then it's Twitter is not going to be Twitter then. I mean, because the Twitter is Twitter because you have these people, prominent people and personalities who broadcast what is happening versus user to user messaging system, right? Which there are quite a few of them. So that would change the fundamentals of the platform. The other fundamental change that would happen is that if there are no advertisers, then clearly your reliance on subscription will go up. So you'll have to think about creating more value for the users to for them to pay something. So that would mean, like, okay, they need to get premium content, they need to be able to do edits, they need to be able to do video and audio in a much better fashion. So you have to start thinking about what features you can add. And if you're running a subscription business, you also have to figure out how do you deliver that value in a differentiated fashion month over month, right? And how do you do payment collection in multiple countries, and how do you manage that entire operation? That's another area. And on the content creator side, if you are thinking about monetizing, they are helping them monetize the craft. That's a whole new game that you have to start, because that's something where Twitter has not done much historically. There's also a talk about reviving the short video app Vine, which Twitter had acquired several years ago, much before TikTok became popular. Now the question is, my view is the ship on that has sailed already. There are enough players out there. There is TikTok, of course, leading it, but there's Instagram Reels, there is Facebook Watch, and there are quite a few of them, right? So if you were to even revive Vine and have a short video app, you have to think about what is the value prop. Is it going to be much more opinion oriented, news oriented short videos? And then what is going to be the clientele for that? How big is that going to be? Right. So all these ideas are out there. There's also the idea of making Twitter into a super app like a WeChat in China, where all the things happen inside. There's messaging, there is payments, there is gaming, etc. Now, the question is, WeChat evolved at a very different point in time in a very different country with a lot of controls and early mover advantage. In the US and globally, where Twitter operates, there are already apps for every specific use case, which are quite useful and quite deep in their area of expertise. So clearly, people who are connoisseurs and experts and sort of deep into that game, they know which app to go to. Clearly you can create a horizontal app and bring everything together for people who are not deep into their craft, but that's requires a lot of investment. You have to acquire a lot of users, you have to sort of create connections between them. And if it was that easy, companies like Facebook and Google would have done it much earlier, right? I mean, even all of them struggled, and I think the decoupling has happened in the sense that every app does what it does best, right? Versus one app that does average or above average kind of work in multiple use cases. So it remains to be seen. I think a lot of ideas on the table. I think Twitter for surely will change from a product perspective as well. I don't know what will become successful here, but you know it's fun to watch at someone else's expenses. I mean, someone else has paid $44 billion, and we are here watching the show.
Is there an inherent lack of understanding of Twitter at some level here? Because I, as a layman, would think that Twitter needs the verified users more than verified users need Twitter, right? Like because it is for the platform to showcase I have an X number of users who are verified, who come with a blue tick, which adds value to the platform itself.
Yeah, no, you made a very good point, Nandagopal. I think, as I mentioned in my two-sided network argument, um, this network will not be valuable if you don't have prominent people and eminent personalities on the platform, right? I mean, if Mr. Modi is not tweeting, why would people who follow politics be on this platform? If Virat Kohli is not on this platform, why would cricket buffs be on this platform? If Priyanka Chopra or Alia Bhatt is not on this platform, why people who follow Bollywood would be on this platform? So clearly, you need prominent personalities and eminent personalities to be on the platform, and not just be on the platform, but also to create incentives for them to tweet regularly, to keep the platform engaging and to get the content. Not just that, you want them to tweet and share information on Twitter first before they go to mainstream media and elsewhere, right? So the question is, therefore, Twitter needs them more than they need Twitter, because they have multiple choices, right? Now, if you believe that, hey, Twitter has such a large user base and these people need the user base and distribution, they'll come to us and pay us the money. Maybe yes, short term, because yes, Twitter historically had a great user base, but it may not always be the same, because the way people are leaving the platform, it may not have the required user base. So then, you will then have to go after the personalities and important people to be on the platform and get them to attract their followers to come on the platform. So, so far the platform had this flywheel effect, but the flywheel effect can go away, and then the platform would need these people, the prominent personalities, a lot more than it needs today.
And the other interesting thing, you did mention that Twitter will be different, after all of this. But one aspect where you, for instance, would have worked a lot is to bring the government onto the platform, government officials, government messaging. So if you look at this happening across the world, it is literally the notice board of the world. Twitter, like with or, you are going to Twitter now to see if an official announcement has come on anything from an earthquake to a new election or anything, right? Like if the platform itself becomes sort of partisan, uh, do you think that angle that Twitter has is also challenged in a way?
No, you are correct. I mean, it is the neutrality is very important, because you don't want to favor one side over the other, because then you will lose the other side, right? So that's clearly the point. And to your point, it's notice board of the world. It is notice board of the world because the world is here.
Yeah.
If the world is not here, you can stick a notice anywhere in the world. Like, I mean, who cares?
Mhm.
Only when you stick on the notice board, then the notice really matters, right? So today it's a notice board where people come to check out what's going on.
Mhm.
As long as it's a notice board, a notice here matters. If it's not the notice board, then putting a notice here is like putting a notice in your bathroom and expecting a world to see it. So that's not going to happen. So today it is the notice board of the world. But if something else comes up, for example, if a coup in India becomes big and popular, all the users would be there, so all the prominent personalities would also go there, and a notice there would matter more than notice on Twitter in that situation. The same in the globally, right? I mean, if mastodons and other people become bigger, so it's a question about, in a network effect business, the winner takes all. The largest player actually has tremendous advantage over even the second largest player, right? So far Twitter had the monopoly and the advantage of being the largest player. If people start fleeing the platform, that advantage will be lost. And if it loses neutrality, it may also start losing one side faster than the other. If it loses user base, it will lose both sides. If it loses neutrality, it will lose one side. Either way, it is a loser.
Other thing, you mentioned how a lot of your former colleagues, for instance, as of now find themselves jobless, which also means a platform as large as this is run by maybe a few hundred people, now, if we are lucky. So is there a safety angle to all of this, that, like, about user safety, about safety of information that is already there on the platform, access to maybe all, a lot of the government handles, and so is there something more worrying also here?
No, it's clearly very worrying, right? I mean, so just let's do the math quickly, right?
Mm.
Twitter had 7,500 employees before Elon took over. He fired half the people, so 3,700 employees gone. And then of the remaining 50%, he gave an ultimatum, and I am told that 75% people chose to leave.
Yeah.
So 50% plus 75% of the remaining 50%. So what is left now is 12.5% employees of the original, which is on a base of 7,500, less than 1,000 people. So if 1,000 people are running this platform versus 7,500 before, that's clearly a cause of concern, because some important functions like moderation, curation, trust and safety, even like basic ensuring the two-factor authentication happens on time. If someone's account is hacked, there is the support team there to intervene and help it. All those functions are severely understaffed, right? So it's a cause of great concern, because today if there's a problem, and you as a journalist, if you have to call someone and find out at Twitter, you don't even know who to call, because
True.
all the news partnership teams and the support teams are no longer there, right? So if there's a problem with your handle, or if someone is impersonating you, or if you want to get something checked, you don't know who to call. So clearly, I agree with you. It's a cause of great concern.
And in a country like India, what do you think will be the impact of what is happening, with Twitter? Because in India, as you know very well, this is a platform that has it pulls much more weight than itself, right? Like it has so much impact. A lot of the political conversation happens here. Legal implications to what happens on the platform. So how do you think this disarray is going to impact something the platform in India?
The thing about technology platform is that when they are strong, they become very very strong. When once they start becoming weak, they quickly decline as well. I mean, look at how strong Orkut was before sort of Facebook came in. And then once Facebook became strong, Orkut became almost zero, and then no one is on Orkut now, right, on social media. So that's how these platforms work, right? Now, so far, Twitter has been quite popular and quite powerful, and everyone's on Twitter. But then alternatives will start emerging if people are not getting the service they require, or if users start not visiting Twitter. It will become less relevant to politically important people also. So alternatives like Coup could become more powerful, and they may serve the local needs better. The only disadvantage of Coup is that Coup is very local, so you only get to interact with people who are in India.
Yeah.
But if you want to interact with people who are outside India, then Coup doesn't work out for you, and therefore you still remain on Twitter. But if what if Coup expands globally?
Yeah.
What if Coup becomes international? Then of course that problem will even get solved. So we'll have to wait and watch. I mean, it does have implications on the future of Twitter in India, both from a user growth perspective, because clearly there would not be focus on getting India relevant content. Like, for example, we all know how important cricket is in India. So if you don't have anyone in India to get cricket content, to tie up with all the IPL teams, to ensure that all matches are properly covered, people will stop going to Twitter during a cricket match. Similarly, if there is no one to manage all your Bollywood partnership and all your South Indian movie partnerships, whenever a major movie releases, people would not go to Twitter to check out what's trending about that movie, right? And the same with journalists. If Twitter doesn't, manage relationship with all the news media companies, you know, they may not choose to post on Twitter first. They may choose to post on other platforms first, and sort of they will just do on Twitter like a very very basic minimum. So this will over time deteriorate the quality of content and interaction on Twitter, and that will then impact the quality of users and also the number of users, and then over time that will impact the content creators and also advertisers. I mean, advertisers will not find very this platform to be very relevant, so all the brand based conversations will start coming down.
I'll just wind up, Manish, by asking you one last question. So, in all of this, like in this melee, as we call it, are you seeing a silver lining somewhere?
Yeah, I think it's tough for me to find a silver lining. I mean, see, on one side, you want Elon to succeed and Twitter to succeed, because the whole world depends on this. Like in countries where people have no access to information or to any kind of media, they use Twitter to find out what's happening. And Twitter also plays a very important role during rescue and during kind of natural calamity and during emergencies. Imagine the time during the second wave in India,
Yeah.
when there was no oxygen and people were resorting to Twitter to do an SOS cry saying we need oxygen. Hospitals were tweeting saying, "Oh, we are running out of oxygen. We only have 4 hours oxygen left." And people were responding to that, and that's how the rescue operations were getting organized. So if you remove all the business aspect of it and all the other political aspect of it, purely as a public service, it has great value. And my view there is that if somehow Elon figures this out, at least he can keep that service going. And I think that would be a great, I would say, service to humanity.
Thank you for being on the show, Manish. It was absolutely insightful. And again, this is something, and you answered a lot of questions for a lot of people, especially those on Twitter. And Twitter is not a place where we have a lot of verified information anymore. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Nandagopal. Thank you for having me on your show.
You are listening to Our Own Devices. We are everywhere you listen to your podcast.